Hola a todos. Me llamo Cass. Hi to all. My name is Cass. Y hoy vamos a hablar sobre algunas palabras sobre de la salud. And today we're going to be talking about some words about health. Algunos de las palabras son palabras que pueden usar para modificar otras palabras como adjetivos. Some of the words are going to be words that you can use to modify other words like adjectives. Y estos son inflamado, like swollen. You could say, mi, mi brazo es inflamado if you got a shot and your arm is swollen. And you can also say that it's sore, right? It's mi brazo dolorido or está dolorido. My arm is sore. Sensible. Mi boca es sensible if I had like a tooth kind of replaced by el dentista. Y irritado is irritated. Urgente is urgent. En si alguna situación es urgente, puedes ir a la sala de emergencia. If you're in a situation where it is urgent, you would go to the emergency room, que es en el hospital, that is in the hospital. Y después ir a la farmacia, you would go to the pharmacy para ganar sus recetas, to pick up your prescriptions. And si necesitas una cirugía, puedes ir al quirófano. If you had a surgery, you could go to the the operating room. Y si estás en una situación muy urgente, puedes ir al hospital en una ambulancia. If you're in an emergency situation and you need to go to the hospital, you can go in an ambulance. Hay algunas condiciones que podemos describir con estos próximos palabras. There's some diseases or illnesses that we can describe with the next little set of words that we're going to learn. La diabetes is diabetes. This is when someone has an issue processing glucose that's in their bloodstream, so they need to be really careful about what they eat, and sometimes people need to take insulin for it. La alergia, the allergy, so personas pueden tener alergias al pollen, right? Someone can have allergies to pollen. Y todas las personas saben que la gripe es una enfermedad muy común. A lot of people know that the flu is a common illness. El resfrío también es una enfermedad muy común. The cold is a common illness as well. La arthritis, the arthritis, so that is very common, right? Inflammation of the joints, so they hurt, they get a little bit sore. La insolación is sunstroke, so this is when you're outside for a long time, afuera de su casa por mucho tiempo, and you can get very warm, y estás muy calor, y you can have sunstroke. La picadura is a bug bite. So you can have a bug bite de una picadura del mosquito, a bug bite from a mosquito, right? O una picadura de abeja. You can have a bee sting. Si usted cayó, if you fall, puedes romper su brazo, you can break your arm, y tiene una fractura, or a fracture, you can have a fracture. Y esta es un ejemplo de una herida, or herida. It's an example of an injury, right? And si usted toca una cosa que es muy calor, if you touch something that's very hot, puedes recibir una quemadura. You can receive a burn from that, right? You don't want to touch hot things. Y estos próximos palabras son personas que trabajan en el campo de medicina, como la recepcionista. So these next words are people that work in the medical field, like the receptionist, right? That's the first person that you would see when you walk in. O el doctor o el médico. Y en la hoja de papel hay el o la. So that's just, so in the paper there's el or la. That's just because there's feminine and masculine words in Spanish. And so people that are female and work in this specific job would have the la, like la recepcionista. Or if there was a male receptionist, they would be el recepcionisto. And I separated the doctors so that you can see this on the sheet. Y un otro persona que trabaja con los médicos también son enfermedades, or enfermos, not enfermedades. Enfermedad is an illness. Enfermero is a nurse. And so la cirujón, perdón. El cirujana is a surgeon. La paramédica is the paramedic, a female paramedic specifically, I guess. El oculista is the eye doctor, right? If you needed los gafas, the glasses, if you needed some glasses. Y la otolaringólogo, the ENT or ear, nose, and throat doctor, someone that you might see if you have, like, I don't know, maybe large tonsils. Y hay algunos síntomas que ir con algunas enfermedades también. There's certain symptoms that go with certain illnesses as well, como la fiebre, like the fever, o la nariz tapada, the stuffy nose, right? You need to blow your nose, and I apologize for having just one hand. It's because I have a little kitten with me, so I have my other hand on her. Y dificultad para respirar es otra cosa que ir con una nariz tapada. A shortness of breath is another common thing that goes with stuffy nose, right? La tos is the cough, right? You cough when you got some stuff in your lungs, or los pulmones, to get it out of your lungs, right? That's good. La presión alta is high blood pressure. So if you have high blood pressure, you're going to want to avoid salty foods because that'll also increase your blood pressure. Pero si tienes la presión baja, if you had low blood pressure, you might want to increase your salt intake to kind of increase the amount of blood that you have in your body and raise your blood pressure. El mareo is dizziness. And si tienes mareo muy mucho, puedes vomitar or producir el vómito, right? If you get really dizzy, you might get sick and vomit. Dolor is pain, so you can say el dolor is the pain, but you can also say me duele, like me duele en mi cabeza, I have a headache, right? Or me duele en mi estómago, I have a stomach ache. La acidez is heartburn, so that's when you have some of your stomach acid kind of go up into your esophagus, and your stomach acid is pretty acidic, so it causes some damage to your esophagus, so that's why it hurts. La migraña es un dolor de cabeza muy fuerte. A migraine is a headache that's very strong. La calambre is a cramp. So if you had a muscle and it kind of cramps, right? If you ever get like Charlie horses in your legs from not drinking enough water. And then Las convulsiones is a seizure, right? If you have some abnormal brain activity, and there's different levels of seizure. You can have one that's a grand mal seizure, which is kind of the classic movie example, or you can have one that's a little bit less severe, where you kind of just out of it for a little bit and then you come back. It really depends on the person. And then hay algunos tratamientos para enfermedades también. There are also treatments for certain illnesses as well, como la inyección contra algunos enfermedades. So there can be injections against certain illnesses as preventative measures, as like if you got a tetanus shot, la inyección contra el tétano, o contra el gripe, right? O ahora tenemos la inyección o la vacunación contra el COVID-19, right? We have a injection or a vaccine against COVID, right? La cirugía is another important treatment, right? If you need surgery for something, like if I needed a coronary bypass surgery, they could go in and repair a little valve in my heart. El medicamento, right? Medication, es muy importante por muchas personas. It's very important for many people to have the proper medication, right? Si tienes la presión alta, puedes tomar beta blockers para bajar su tasa de, or your blood pressure. You can lower your blood pressure by taking some beta blockers. And then el antibiótico, the antibiotic, right? Penicillin is an antibiotic, and it's actually a type of fungus as well, or mold, which is kind of interesting, or I think so. El anti-allergico is the anti-allergy medication. Please get off my paper, honey. La crema is the cream, right? If you had like a burn, then you would put la crema, and el quemadura, you put the cream on the burn. La pastilla is a pill, right? So if you were to take an antialérgico in la forma de una pastilla, right? You would take an anti-allergy medication in the form of a pill, right? Y las gotas también puede ser antialérgicos. So you can have drops that are anti-allergy, or las gotas, right? You can have eye drops, gotas de para los ojos. Y los primeros auxilios is first aid, right? Los primeros auxilios. Los puntos is the stitches, so if they needed to stitch together an injury that you had. La banda is the bandage, so if you after you got the stitches, then they would wrap it in a bandage. Y la receta is a prescription, so if you needed a prescription for painkillers, los analgésicos would be painkillers, right? Y el diagnóstico is diagnostic or diagnosis, right? Y necesitas un diagnóstico para recibir tratamiento, right? If you need a diagnosis to get treatment for that, because otherwise, how do you know how to treat if you don't have a diagnosis, right? Got to figure out what's wrong. Y estos son todos de las palabras sobre de la salud. Este es un video un poquito largo. So these are all the words related to words about health. And I apologize that this video was a little bit long, but we have a cute little kitty here to make up for it, right? Little Miss Vera. All right, we'll put her down. Y hace un buen día y adiós.